Welcome, Sentinels! This is Universe Unique, and today, the truth comes out. The DCU began with a Superman that divided opinions, but no one was prepared for the character who would actually steal the spotlight. Mr. Terrific. He doesn't wear a flowing cape or shoot lasers from his eyes. He doesn't fly, and he doesn't have super strength, but he masters everything. He appeared for just a few minutes in James Gunn's Superman film, then returned in full force in Season 2 of Peacemaker. And now, officially, he's one of the pillars of the new Justice Gang Gunn is building. There's only one issue. Almost nobody really knows who he is. And that changes everything. If you're into in-depth analytical content that connects the dots in this new nerd universe that's being built, subscribe now. We're very close to hitting a major milestone, and your support, yes, yours, makes all the difference in keeping videos like this coming, with depth and without filler. Also, drop a comment below and tell me from which city and country you're watching this video. I want to see how far this community of Sentinels reaches. And yes, I read every single comment. And if this content is connecting you with the hottest news and theories in the Geek Universe, hit the triple kill. Like, comment, and share. Now here's the key point. The man in the black jacket with "fair play" across the back isn't just a smart supporting character. He might actually be the most important figure in the new DCU, and almost no one has realized why. But his origin has one detail that changes everything. I'll break that down in a moment. Michael Holt had everything society values. He was a genius with 14 PhDs, a millionaire, and an Olympic decathlon medalist. On paper, his life was proof that meritocracy worked. But one car accident changed everything, taking the lives of his wife Paula and their unborn child. Suddenly, none of his achievements mattered. That's where we first meet Michael in The Spectre. 1997, standing on a bridge, holding a photo of his family, ready to end his life. That's when fate interrupted. First, in an almost cruel twist, with muggers trying to rob him at his lowest moment. Then, with the arrival of an entity that changed everything, the Spectre. For context, the Spectre isn't just another mystical vigilante. He is literally the wrath of God in the DC universe. And, instead of simply saving Holt, he confronted him. Not with religious sermons, but with the memory of another man who once stood in the same place. Terry Sloan, the original Mr. Terrific. Sloan was also wealthy, talented, and brilliant. He had also considered ending his own life, but he chose differently. He decided to use his gifts to inspire young people and fight street-level crime. He created a simple, direct motto: fair play, which became more than just a patch on his jacket. It became a symbol of ethics, discipline, and justice. The Spectre made it clear, Sloan's legacy had been brutally cut short when he was murdered. There was now a void, a space Holt could fill. But Michael didn't believe in fate, magic, or divine intervention. He rejected the call at first, and this conflict set him apart from so many other DC heroes. He wasn't born with powers. He wasn't chosen by a ring, or struck by lightning. He inherited nothing from family. When Holt finally chose to act, it was because he understood something few do. It wasn't about replacing his wife, or replacing Terry Sloan. It was about finding purpose in his pain. He created his costume, stitched fair play across the back, and built his first T-spheres, floating devices that responded to his mind. But the real defining moment wasn't the tech. It was when he confronted a group of armed teenagers ready to kill him. Holt didn't back down, didn't call for help, and didn't let the Spectre intervene when he appeared again. Instead, Holt stopped the Spectre and promised, if there was even a chance for rehabilitation, he would take responsibility himself. That was the birth of the new Mr. Terrific. Not by cosmic predestination, but because Holt made a conscious decision to carry a burden he didn't have to. That choice set him apart from most DC heroes. He wasn't driven by glory, vengeance, or divine mission. He was driven by the choice to be better than the pain around him. And here's the key. The Spectre wasn't testing Holt's ability to fight. He was testing whether Holt could carry not just the jacket, but the meaning behind it. The world already had Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. What it lacked was someone who could prove, through logic and science, that justice could come from a man with no powers, as long as he refused to give up. But even with an origin marked by tragedy and resistance, Holt carried something else that would make him one of the most dangerous figures in the DCU. It wasn't the jacket or the motto. It was an invention that would redefine the way he interacted with the world. Michael Holt's defining trait isn't just his tragic origin, it's his mind. In DC's hierarchy of geniuses, he is officially listed as the third smartest man on Earth, behind only Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne. And it's not an empty title. Holt holds 14 doctorates across fields like quantum engineering, applied mathematics, and nanotechnology. He's a polyglot, an Olympic-level decathlete, and a skilled military strategist. In a universe filled with gods, aliens, and sorcerers, Mr. Terrific proves that human intellect can be just as devastating as any supernatural power. His T-spheres are the ultimate symbol of that genius. These floating orbs, created and programmed by Holt, act as extensions of his mind. They can translate any language, project holograms, generate energy blasts, create force fields, scan environments, and hack virtually any digital system on Earth. In combat, they respond directly to Holt's thoughts. No verbal commands required. They're not just weapons, they're his eyes and ears across any battlefield. And there's something even more unsettling. Holt is invisible to any form of electronic detection. Satellites, sensors, cameras, radars. None can register his presence when he chooses to stay hidden. This isn't magic, but the result of a quantum cloaking system he designed himself. Batman hides in shadows. Superman is impossible to miss. But Mr. Terrific can stand in front of you without leaving a trace for technology. In a surveillance-driven world, he's a ghost. Add to that his Olympic-level training and mastery of martial arts, and Holt isn't just a strategist. He's a formidable combatant. He has taken on metahumans far beyond his physical level, not through strength, but by anticipating every move 10 steps ahead. He fights as if solving an equation, and most enemies never realize they've been cornered until it's too late. This blend of science, athleticism, and strategy makes Holt unique within DC's pantheon. He's not just a gadget maker. Unlike Batman, who relies on infrastructure and preparation, Holt carries tools that adapt in real time. That's why in James Gunn's Superman film, his brief appearance left such an impact. While other heroes fought head-on, Holt was silently calculating, neutralizing risks, and managing the battlefield. That quiet authority quickly caught the attention of others in the DC universe. Holt was soon recognized not only as a problem solver, but as someone who could align the pieces for victory. That reputation led directly to a knock on his door from the Justice Society of America. Michael Holt's abilities didn't go unnoticed for long. In the early 2000s, during the Jeff Johns and David Goyer era, Mr. Terrific officially joined the Justice Society of America, and he didn't come in as just another recruit. His quick thinking, unshakable ethics, and ability to make strategic decisions propelled him quickly to the role of chairman. Being the leader of the JSA was no small thing. This was a team with DC's oldest icons, Jay Garrick, the original Flash, and Alan Scott, the first Green Lantern. For veterans of that stature to respect a newcomer, Holt had to prove himself as something exceptional. One of his defining moments came in the Injustice Be Done arc, where the JSA faced a modern version of the Injustice Society. Holt had to balance mentoring young heroes like Stargirl while maintaining the trust of the team's senior members. That dual role, guiding the next generation while leading the veterans, made Holt the face of the JSA's transition into the 21st century. He became the bridge between tradition and renewal. But Holt's influence extended beyond the JSA. He also played a controversial role in Checkmate, DC's espionage organization that blended global politics with covert operations. There, Holt held the title of White King, one of the highest positions in the hierarchy. In the JSA, he led heroes in the field. In Checkmate, he had to navigate diplomacy, moral gray zones, and frequent clashes with Amanda Waller. Waller believed the ends justified any means. Holt drew ethical lines he refused to cross, even at the cost of easy victories. These confrontations showed something crucial. Holt's greatest battles weren't just against cosmic villains, but within the very structures claiming to protect the world. This duality, pragmatic but principled, is why his presence in James Gunn's DCU feels so significant. He isn't just a background tactician. He's a character designed to balance ideology with strategy, a rational voice among more impulsive heroes. But Holt's journey didn't end with leadership roles. He eventually took on something far more experimental, an entire exploration of multiversal science. That's where the Terrifics came in. After establishing himself in the JSA and Checkmate, Michael Holt entered an unexpected phase. In 2018, DC launched The Terrifics, a series that placed Holt at the head of an unlikely team: Metamorpho, Plastic Man, and Phantom Girl. The group formed after an accident involving dark multiverse energy and Tom Strong's technology. The four discovered they couldn't separate for long without suffering physical consequences, forcing them into an unstable but unbreakable bond. Comparisons to Marvel's Fantastic Four were immediate, a science-driven leader guiding a team bound by accident through dimension-hopping adventures. But Holt wasn't a Reed Richards consumed by arrogance. He remained pragmatic and analytical, even when chaos swirled around him. That distinction gave the Terrifics its own identity, a DC sci-fi adventure grounded by Holt's rational leadership. Most importantly, the Terrifics gave Mr. Terrific something rare: long-term protagonism. Lasting more than 30 issues, it was the longest sustained run with Holt as the central figure. He faced multiversal anomalies, alternate realities, and cosmic dilemmas, all while maintaining composure. It showcased his ability not just to invent, but to apply science in real time to stabilize the unpredictable. The series also highlighted his relationships with teammates, Metamorpho's inner struggles, Phantom Girl's identity crises, Plastic Man's chaos and humor. Holt was the anchor that balanced all of it. He wasn't chasing the spotlight, only functionality. He embodied the brain behind the operation, not the glory. This multiverse-focused arc solidified Holt as someone uniquely suited for where DC is heading. James Gunn's DCU is already laying foundations for cosmic threats and multiversal exploration. No character is better positioned to guide that narrative than Mr. Terrific. And after this leap into multiversal science, Holt circled back to his roots in 2024. Not in just any storyline, but in one of the most important modern projects to redefine him: the Mr. Terrific Year 1 miniseries. In 2024, DC revisited Michael Holt's origin with the Mr. Terrific Year 1 miniseries. Unlike other reboots, this version doesn't wipe the slate clean. It deepens what's already there, adding emotional nuance without contradicting established history. The goal is clear: update the character for audiences who may never have read his early stories, but now recognize him from DCU films and series. The narrative focuses less on heroics and more on Holt's personal life before tragedy. It explores his bond with his brother Jeffrey, the academic and athletic pressure he carried from a young age, and the constant comparisons to impossible expectations. By revisiting those moments, the book shows Holt lived under the shadow of perfection long before he became Mr. Terrific. That detail makes his collapse after the loss of his wife Paula and their unborn child even more devastating, because it exposes how much of his identity was built on achievements that suddenly meant nothing. Another key update is how the fair play motto is introduced. Instead of arriving solely as Terry Sloan's hand-me-down, it's built organically through memories, conversations, and the people who shaped Holt. The symbol gains weight. It's not just continuing a legacy, it's turning an idea into a personal philosophy. The jacket patch now carries both the memory of the first Mr. Terrific and Michael's own choices. The technology gets a different lens, too. Early T-Sphere prototypes appear in a rougher, almost trial-and-error phase that reflects his attempt to reconnect with the world through science. The story makes clear that before they became weapons and espionage tools, the spheres were an extension of his need to create something that kept him emotionally alive. This adds humanity without diminishing his brilliance. This miniseries isn't nostalgia for its own sake. It's a necessary update at the moment. Holt is finally visible beyond the comics page. With his presence confirmed in the new DCU, Year One aligns the past with modern expectations, ensuring Mr. Terrific is understood as more than the third smartest man in the world. He becomes a layered hero, whose pain, choices, and resilience matter as much as his mind. This approach also clarifies why James Gunn positioned Holt as a key piece in the DCU's Justice Gang. He isn't just technical support, he's a character who balances human drama with strategic impact. That combination sets him up to face enemies who are more than brute force. Unlike heroes such as Batman or The Flash, Mr. Terrific doesn't have a sprawling personal rogues gallery. He's defined less by flamboyant enemies, and more by ideological clashes with opposing worldviews. That gives his story a distinct weight. His biggest battles are intellectual and philosophical as much as physical. Among the adversaries tied to his legacy is the Spirit King, a classic villain associated with Terry Sloan. The Spirit King is a body hijacker responsible, in the comics, for Sloan's death. When he crosses Michael Holt's path, the impact is both practical and symbolic. Holt must face the literal and metaphorical ghost of the mantle he inherited. That link to the first Mr. Terrific's death reinforces the burden of being more than a replacement, of honoring an interrupted mission. Another recurring foe is Prometheus, often described as the anti-Batman. Trained from childhood to destroy heroes, Prometheus uses strategy, tech, and cold calculation, the same tools Holt masters. Their confrontations aren't brawls, they're chess matches, plans within plans. It's the kind of fight where Holt's true strength shows, thinking beyond the pattern, even against opponents who excel at the same logic. On a larger scale, there's Vandal Savage, the immortal manipulator of human history. Holt's encounters with Savage, through the JSA and Checkmate, are less about overpowering him, and more about clashing philosophies. Savage argues humanity survives under a firm hand. Holt counters that intelligence and education are the path to freedom. That collision of ideas is what makes their conflicts memorable. The villain is an ideology threatening to perpetuate itself. Holt's record also includes internal clashes within the institutions he serves. His tenure in Checkmate made that clear. Where Amanda Waller prioritizes outcomes at any cost, Holt draws ethical lines he won't cross. Those standoffs aren't bureaucratic filler, they're the drama. In the JSA, he faced similar dilemmas, weighing protection for inexperienced heroes against the pull of quick, decisive victories. All of this makes Holt a character built to interrogate ethics more than trade catchphrases with arch-enemies. His real opponents are systems, ideologies, and power structures he refuses to legitimize. That makes Mr. Terrific especially relevant for the modern DCU. With a cinematic universe gearing up for political, multiversal, and cosmic crises, it's no accident James Gunn elevated a hero whose greatest asset is clear thinking in impossible situations. That stance is exactly why he's positioned as a cornerstone of the new DCU Justice Gang, alongside Superman, Guy Gardner, and Peacemaker. Holt doesn't just fight enemies, he disarms ideas. That role makes him something rarer. A hero who questions the foundations of the world he protects. Mr. Terrific has never chased the spotlight. In the comics, he operates at the edge of leadership and anonymity, the mind behind victories that often don't carry his name. That quiet posture hasn't diminished his importance. It's made him indispensable to teams like the JSA, Checkmate, and more recently, the Terrifics. He bridges generations, balances ethical dilemmas, and proves intellect and strategy can match any super punch. That profile is exactly what makes him vital to James Gunn's DCU. Placing him near the ground floor of this universe is deliberate. Holt is the necessary counterweight to more volatile figures like Guy Gardner or Peacemaker. He's the stabilizer, the cool head that can keep a divergent team, like the Justice Gang, cohesive. His recent appearances in Superman and Peacemaker Season 2 signal DC's long-term investment in him as a pillar. More than diversity or aesthetic novelty, Mr. Terrific brings narrative density. He centers themes of grief, resilience, and ethical power. His presence reminds us that heroes don't have to come from cosmic explosions or alien dynasties. Sometimes a real hero is defined by a conscious decision in the face of pain, and the will to move forward. That message connects Mr. Terrific to today's audience and secures his relevance for tomorrow's stories. In the end, Michael Holt isn't just the third smartest man in the world. He's proof that intelligence, guided by purpose, can be as transformative as any lantern ring or Kryptonian cape. That's why his once quiet legacy is poised to echo across film and television. If you want to track every step of this DCU build-out, subscribe now. We're close to a major channel milestone, and your support keeps deep, comics-grounded analysis coming. By subscribing, you join a community that follows each move of this universe the way you do. Before you go, tell me where you're watching from. City and country. I read every comment. And weigh in. What's your most memorable Mr. Terrific moment in comics, film, or TV?